So I'm here in San Francisco again, and as I've mentioned in previous videos, this is the center of all things technology, as you probably know. One of the big technologies that's making a lot of noise at the moment is AI, and particularly generative AI. And this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about. How useful is it? What can you achieve with it? And how will it help you improve what you're doing with your betting or trading? If you're interested in learning more about BetAngel and what it can do, then visit our website. But also visit the Academy, where you can get more detailed, structured content. You can also visit our forum, where you can speak to like-minded people and download additional content. And of course, you can visit our website to download a free trial of the cutting-edge software that will completely transform your betting and trading.
Hi there. Peter has asked me to help him explain everything about generative AI fundamentals. Generative AI, particularly large language models like ChatGPT, are really popular at the moment. I'm going to explain these models and help you understand what they can and can't do. So, let's see how it all works. Okay, let us imagine you're building a robot. Not just any robot. One that can talk to you, write like you, and maybe even think a bit like you. Developers aimed for that when they created chatbots like ChatGPT, something that could interact with humans in a human way. ChatGPT is a large language model. A large language model is a neural network trained on vast amounts of text data to understand and generate human-like language. GPT means Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So what does that actually mean? Let's explore each of these aspects, as it will help us understand how you can and can't use these models. As the name suggests, it all starts with training. The model reads an enormous amount of text from books, websites, newspapers, and more. This phase is called pre-training. During this time, GPT isn't just memorizing words. It's converting them into numbers, and it's learning the patterns and structures of the language it's reading. Inside GPTs are lots and lots of layers. These are called transformer layers. And they're essentially the building blocks of GPT's intelligence. Each layer looks at the information it receives, transforms it, and passes it on, increasingly refined each time. Generative is the end result, the part you see when it responds to you. Imagine you give it a prompt. GPT predicts what comes next based on its training. It generates possibilities and scores them. Think of it as guessing, and it picks the most likely next word. This process continues until it has full sentences, paragraphs, or even entire articles. This might make you wonder, is GPT thinking? Well, not like humans. It's more like a super smart parrot, mimicking patterns it has seen before. This is why people often get the idea of the current wave of AI wrong. They imagine a T1 robot marching across a barren landscape, or an all-knowledgeable intelligent agent that's going to take over the world. In fact, most of what you see in public is more based on a language model. In essence, it's statistically stitching together words based on probabilities. It's so good, it fools people into thinking there is something there that isn't. It's important to understand that because it is based around language, this has important implications in terms of how you use it. I'm going to hand it over to Peter to explain what that means. Over to you, Peter.
Thank you for that explanation. Let's get into the practicalities of using this sort of technology. I'm an early adopter for most technologies. This sort of technology isn't an exception. I'm already using it a lot and for many things. Let's ask ChatGPT some questions. BetAngel includes a statistical model, one that bases itself around things that have happened in the past, learnt from, and can be projected forward. For football, that model is SoccerMystic. You can see it on the top left here. Let's ask ChatGPT a statistical-based question on a football match. How do you think it will respond? So considering it's a language model, it's actually not done too badly. It's got the pricing about right, and it's also given us some insight into things that would likely affect the price. But ultimately, it hasn't given us the detail of why that is the case. Therefore, you can't manipulate or use this data in any sensible way. But let's face it, it's not a bad guess. So the next question I decided to ask it was another football question. I've actually covered how to come up with the answer in a specific video that is available on YouTube. So, I asked ChatGPT in a very specific manner to come up with a solution to this problem. By doing it this way, it will actually give you a mathematical solution to your question, which is quite neat. However, I'm an expert in this area and I can tell you that the solution that it has come up with is slightly incorrect. If you use this in a betting market, you'd almost certainly lose money because it will give you the wrong odds. Can you identify the flaw that is given in the answer? If you can, then hats off to you. You will make a good analyst. One problem that currently plagues generative AI models is hallucination. Hallucination is where the model generates a very convincing answer, but one that turns out to be totally wrong. In this example, I'm asking ChatGPT for information on teams that have qualified from a certain position in the EFL Championship playoff. It gives a good answer, but can you spot the error? It's like it has just made it up to satisfy you, which is more or less what it has done. It's just following the most likely path to give a convincing answer. That's an inherent flaw with all language-based models. You can test this flaw by asking it a question you know the answer to, or something that you are an expert in, or both. I thought I'd ask it if you could win on every race at Cheltenham. I last did this in 2024, and have also achieved this many times in the past. It gives a sensible, but not factual, answer. This is often the case. So, what do ChatGPT and a strawberry have in common? You may not think much, but the strawberry problem is a good example of how language and statistics don't mix. Ever since generative AI models came into wider use, there have been lots of people who are testing their limits. They do this to learn how these models think. The strawberry problem is a good example. It shows that hallucinations can occur, even in very simple tasks. I've been a bit negative so far. I did this deliberately so you can fully understand what you can and can't do. Let's look at some practical ways you can use this amazing technology. In this example, I have some data that I have collected from the French Open with BetAngel. I need to split it by gender for further analysis. To do this manually would take some time, or a file containing all the names and genders and a bit of Excel magic. But with ChatGPT, I can just ask it to add the genders to the spreadsheet. I often use ChatGPT in this manner, to merge files, work out logic, research things, display or summarize information, or sometimes better understand a problem, or better express something with much more eloquent writing or summaries. So using this technology, we did something clever with BetAngel recently, and that is we introduced a helper that will answer your questions. But you can also get access to this via support and the instant answers question. And the idea of this is that we've trained a chatbot on enormous amounts of BetAngel data and support requests, and you can ask it a simple question such as how do I connect a spreadsheet to BetAngel, and it will actually tell you in detail what you want. You can chat to it about specific features. And you can see I've made a spelling mistake here, but it doesn't matter, and it can talk to you in multiple different languages as well, and it will give you a very clear and defined answer, and you can continue this interaction with it as much as you like so that you don't have to be embarrassed about asking simple or basic questions. Now, every now and again you will get a little hallucination, but of course we're happy to take your questions via support as well, and we see this as a supplement to allow you to get the best out of BetAngel. So on the screen here you can see I've got the profile of a footballer. Do you know who this footballer is? Because ChatGPT can give you the answer. So its capabilities are quite curious at times because it can solve what look to be difficult or complex or misleading problems. And that is because if it follows a logical structure, like coding, for example, it can actually do a good job of solving those problems, just in the same way that it can solve this puzzle. So of course, no sooner does this transformative technology appear, then people start to use it in their marketing. And, it often goes along the line, amazing new betting AI system and trading system, this, and, there are lots of these sort of completely ridiculous statements being made out there that relate to AI because everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. But think about it, it doesn't make any sense. A lot of these language models, they're not statistical models or trading models. And if you had something like that, then you would probably keep it to yourself. However, these technologies are improving significantly over time, and they're fragmenting into different models for different things. So that's going to improve as well. And generally, they're getting more intelligent over a period of time as well. I'd love to talk about these in much greater depth, but of course, I only have a limited amount of time to put through on this video. So think of using these models as like having a really powerful sports car. Very, very powerful, but if you misuse it, it could have disastrous consequences. However, the way that I would recommend that you use them is to look at research, to speed up processing. It's effectively like a very intelligent assistant that you have that can solve complicated problems for you immediately. And when I use it, and I used to wade through tons and tons of academic research looking for interesting angles and stuff that I hadn't heard about before, and just get those thought processes whirring away. But I can now go to AI and ask it specific questions, and it will go off and find those papers for me, which is hugely beneficial. And if I don't understand them, I can say to it, well, pretend I'm a 5-year-old, explain this to me, and it will do that for me as well. So I sort of find the best use of these sort of AI is to supplement what you're doing already, or to sort of push forward in different areas, or to speed up stuff that you may do already. You can't specifically use it to look at statistics because it's not reliable enough. However, using it as an assistant is incredibly beneficial, and it's expanding my productivity, the scope of what I do, and my ability way beyond what I can currently do at the moment. It's like having an assistant for you that you don't really have to pay, and that will do anything that you want, subject to you reviewing that information that it pumps out. And talking of assistants, let's round off by handing over to my assistant.
So, as you may be able to tell, I'm not real. I'm an avatar. Not only that my voice is completely artificial and made to sound like something Peter had in mind. Most of the videos, the images, sound effects, and even Peter's voice in this video has been created using these modern AI tools. Yes, that's right. Most of this entire video has been artificially generated, even Peter's voice. However, how should I say Peter's unique facial characteristics were real? Though even this could be replicated with a bit more effort. Everybody has just started on this fantastic adventure with this new technology, so lots will change over time. But Peter and I are hopeful that this video will give you a good introduction to how you can use these tools to improve your betting or trading. Hopefully, I'll be seeing you again in the future. Till then, good luck with your betting and trading.